A crisp autumn morning in an upscale neighborhood where the air smells of freshly cut grass and privilege. The International Academy of Excellence, a private school with ivy-covered walls and a reputation for molding future diplomats, sits proudly at the end of a tree-lined street. Parents in sleek SUVs drop off their kids, their laughter echoing as they wave goodbye. But today, something's about to go down in this polished world. A moment that'll leave you clenching your fists. Enter Aisha Thompson, a black woman in her early 30s, stepping out of a modest sedan with her 10-year-old daughter Nia. Aisha's dressed simply a navy blazer, a white blouse and slacks. Her hair is pulled back in a neat bun, and she carries a leather briefcase that's seen better days. Nia, in her crisp school uniform, clutches her mom's hand, her eyes wide with excitement about her first parent-teacher conference of the year. To anyone watching, Aisha looks like any other working mom. Maybe a secretary, maybe a nurse, hustling to make ends meet for her kids' fancy education. But there's a quiet strength in her walk, a subtle sharpness in her gaze that nobody seems to notice. Not yet. Inside the school, the conference room smells of coffee and expensive perfume. The walls are lined with photos of smiling students and plaques boasting academic awards. Aisha takes a seat across from Ms. Karen Preston, Nia's English teacher, a woman in her late 40s with a tight smile and a clipboard clutched like a shield. Karen's blonde hair is perfectly styled, her designer blouse screaming, "I belong here." The air between them is already thick with tension. Karen starts with a patronizing tone. "Mrs. Thompson, I'm glad you could make it. I know it must be hard with your schedule." She pauses, her eyes flicking over Aisha's modest outfit, lingering on the worn briefcase. The implication hangs heavy. "You don't belong here." Aisha's jaw tightens, but she nods politely, her voice calm. "It's Ms. Thompson, and I'm here for Nia. How's she doing?" Karen launches into a critique of Nia's work, her words sharp and dismissive. Nia's essays lack structure. Her grammar is inconsistent. Frankly, I'm not sure she's cut out for our rigorous curriculum. Aisha's eyes narrow slightly, but she stays composed, jotting notes in a small notebook. Karen continues, her voice growing louder, drawing the attention of other parents and teachers nearby. "I mean, let's be honest, some students just don't have the foundation for a school like this. Maybe she'd do better somewhere, less demanding." The room feels smaller now, the air heavier. Aisha's hand pauses on her notebook, but she doesn't flinch. "Can you clarify what you mean by foundation?" she asks, her tone measured, but edged with steel. Karen smirks, leaning forward. "You know the right environment. Support at home, resources. Not everyone can keep up with our standards." The words land like a slap, and a few parents nearby shift uncomfortably, their whispers starting to ripple. You can feel the injustice simmering. Karen's not just critiquing Nia's work, she's questioning Aisha's ability to parent her place in this elite space. It's the kind of subtle coded racism that cuts deep because it's wrapped in a smile. Aisha's daughter, sitting quietly beside her, looks down at her hands, her confidence wilting under Karen's gaze. You want to yell at the screen? Tell Aisha to stand up and shut this woman down. But Aisha doesn't move. Not yet. Instead, she asks calmly, "Are you suggesting Nia's performance is tied to my background?" Karen's smile falters for a split second, but she doubles down. "I'm just saying, Miss Thompson, it's clear you're doing your best. But some families have limitations." The word limitations hangs in the air, dripping with condescension. Aisha's eyes lock onto Karen's. And for a moment, there's something in her gaze, a flicker of something powerful, something Karen doesn't see. It's like watching a storm brewing behind a calm horizon. The conference ends abruptly when Karen stands dismissing Aisha with a wave. "I have other parents to see. We'll discuss Nia's placement later." She turns away, already chatting with another parent, a white mother in pearls, who gets a warm handshake. Aisha gathers her things, her movements deliberate, her face unreadable. Nia tugs at her sleeve, whispering, "Mom, are we in trouble?" Aisha kneels, smiling softly. "No, baby. We're just getting started." As they walk out, a security guard, a burly man named Mike, stops them at the door. "Ma'am, I need to check your bag," he says, his tone gruff. Aisha raises an eyebrow. "You didn't check anyone else's?" Mike shrugs, glancing at Karen, who's watching from a distance with a smug look. "Just protocol," he says, but it's clear this is personal. Aisha hands over her briefcase, her expression calm, but her eyes burning. Mike rummages through it, pulling out a few documents and a sleek black ID card with gold lettering. He squints at it, then tosses it back. "All right, you're clear," he grumbles, but there's a flicker of unease in his face. "You're fuming now, aren't you?" The way Karen dismissed Aisha, the way Mike singled her out, it's infuriating. You can feel the weight of their assumptions, the way they've sized her up and decided she's less than. But there's something about Aisha's calm, the way she carries herself, that makes you wonder. That ID card, what was it? Why didn't Mike push harder? You're dying to know who she really is, what she's holding back. And just when you think it can't get worse, Karen steps into the hallway, calling out loudly enough for everyone to hear Ms. Thompson. "I hope you'll consider what's best for Nia. This school isn't for everyone." The camera lingers on Aisha's face as she turns, her expression unreadable, but her eyes blazing. She doesn't respond, just takes Nia's hand and walks out into the sunlight. The screen fades to black with a single line of text. She didn't know who she was messing with. Your heart's pounding. You're hooked. What's coming next? Who is Aisha Thompson, really? So you're back? Good. Because this story's about to take a turn that'll have you leaning closer to the screen. Aisha and Nia are walking out of the International Academy, the weight of Karen's words still hanging heavy. The sun's high now, casting long shadows on the cobblestone path. But Aisha's stride is steady, her hand firmly holding Nia's. You can tell she's not shaken, not yet. But the fire in her eyes, it's growing. Back inside, Karen's in her element, chatting with other teachers in the faculty lounge. She's spinning the story of the conference, her voice dripping with false pity. "Poor Nia," she says, sipping her coffee. Her mother's clearly in over her head. "I mean, did you see her? That briefcase looked like it came from a thrift store." The other teachers nod some uncomfortably, but no one challenges her. Karen's got that kind of influence here. She's the gatekeeper, the one who decides who fits in and who doesn't. And Aisha. In Karen's mind, Aisha's already been written off. But let's rewind a bit. Aisha's not heading home. She's sitting in her car parked just outside the school, her phone pressed to her ear. Nia's in the back seat, humming softly, oblivious to the storm brewing. Aisha's voice is low-controlled, but there's an edge to it. "Yes, this is Aisha Thompson," she says into the phone. "I need you to pull some records for me." Discreetly. The person on the other end responds quickly, and Aisha nods, her fingers tapping the steering wheel. "Good. Send it to my secure email, and make it fast." She hangs up, her gaze fixed on the school building like a chess player studying the board. "You're starting to get it now, aren't you? There's something about Aisha that doesn't add up. The way she carries herself, the way she speaks, it's not just confidence, it's authority. But Karen doesn't know that. She's too busy escalating things. The next day, Aisha returns to the school for a follow-up meeting, this time requested by the principal, Mr. Reynolds, a nervous man with a habit of adjusting his tie. Karen's there, of course, sitting at the head of the table like she owns the place. The meeting's supposed to be about Nia's academic plan, but it's clear from the start that Karen's got an agenda. She slides a folder across the table, her smile sharp. "Ms. Thompson, we've reviewed Nia's records, and I'm recommending she be moved to a remedial program. It's for her own good." Aisha doesn't touch the folder. She leans back, crossing her arms, her eyes locked on Karen. A remedial program, based on what evidence, her voice is calm, but it's the kind of calm that makes the room feel colder. Karen falters for a moment, then recovers. Her test scores, her essays, they're below our standards. "I've been teaching here for 15 years, Miss Thompson. I know what I'm talking about." Aisha tilts her head, a small smile playing on her lips. 15 years? Impressive. Tell me, Ms. Preston, have you ever been audited for bias in your grading practices? The question lands like a grenade. The principal shifts in his seat, and Karen's face flushes. Excuse me, she snaps. I don't appreciate the accusation. I treat all my students equally. But Aisha's not done. She pulls out her notebook, flipping it open to a page filled with neat, precise handwriting. I took the liberty of reviewing Nia's assignments myself, she says. Her essays are articulate, well-researched, and above grade level. Yet you've consistently marked her down for structure and clarity. Care to explain why her work is graded more harshly than her peers? She slides a stack of papers across the table, Nia's essays annotated with red ink, alongside similar assignments from other students marked with glowing praise. Karen's mouth opens, then closes. The principal clears his throat, trying to diffuse the tension. Ms. Thompson, I'm sure there's a misunderstanding. But Aisha cuts him off, her voice, still calm, but now carrying a weight that makes everyone sit up straighter. A misunderstanding or a pattern, I'd like to see the grading rubric you used for Nia's work. And while we're at it, let's review the school's diversity policies. I'm sure you have them on hand. The room is silent now, except for the faint hum of the air conditioner. Karen's face is a mix of shock and indignation, but she recovers quickly, her voice rising. This is outrageous. I don't know who you think you are, Ms. Thompson, but you can't come in here and question my professionalism. She stands, pointing at Aisha. You're out of line, and I'm recommending Nia's immediate transfer to another school. That's when you notice it, a small detail, but it hits like a lightning bolt. Aisha's briefcase is open on the table, and that black ID card with the gold lettering is visible again, tucked into a side pocket. Karen's too busy yelling to notice, but the principal's eyes flick to it, and his face pales. He tries to speak, but Aisha raises a hand, silencing him. We're not done here, she says, her voice low and deliberate. You'll want to hear what I have to say next. You're on the edge of your seat now, right? Karen's digging her own grave, and Aisha's playing her like a fiddle. That ID card, the way Aisha's handling this, it's clear she's not just a concerned mom. But who is she? A lawyer, a journalist, someone with power. The clues are there, but the puzzle's not complete. And just when you think it can't get more intense, Aisha leans forward, her voice dropping to a near whisper. Ms. Preston, I suggest you sit down, because this conversation is about to change. The screen cuts to black, with a single question flashing. Who is Aisha Thompson? You're dying for the reveal, aren't you? Hold tight, it's coming. All right, let's dive back in. You're probably itching to know who Aisha Thompson really is. And trust me, this is the moment you've been waiting for. The conference room at the International Academy is a pressure cooker now. Karen's standing, her face red, her finger still pointed at Aisha, like she's about to deliver the final blow. The principal, Mr. Reynolds, is sweating through his suit, his eyes darting between Aisha's calm demeanor and that mysterious ID card on the table. The air's electric, and you can feel the shift coming. Aisha doesn't flinch. She leans forward, her voice steady but commanding, like she's about to drop a bomb. Miss Preston, she says, before you continue, let me clarify something. You've made a lot of assumptions about me and my daughter, but you've missed one critical detail. She reaches into her briefcase, her movements deliberate, and pulls out that black ID card with gold lettering. She holds it up, letting the light catch the embossed seal. The room goes dead silent. Karen's eyes narrow, but she's still too arrogant to back down. What's that supposed to prove? Some community college ID, she scoffs. Aisha's smile is small but razor sharp. Not quite, she says. She places the card on the table, sliding it toward the principal. Mr. Reynolds, perhaps you'd like to read it aloud. The principal picks it up, his hands trembling slightly. His eyes widen as he reads, his voice barely above a whisper. Aisha Thompson, International Human Rights Attorney, United Nations Commission on Human Rights. The words hit like a thunderclap. Karen's face freezes, her mouth half open. The other teachers in the room gasp, their whispers erupting into a low hum. Aisha leans back, her expression calm, but her eyes blazing with righteous fire. You're feeling it now, aren't you? That rush of satisfaction as the tables turn. Karen's world is crumbling, and Aisha's just getting started. That's right. Aisha continues, her voice steady, but carrying the weight of years of battles fought. I've spent the last decade defending marginalized communities in courtrooms across the globe. I've argued cases before the UN taken down corrupt officials and written policies that protect students like Nia from exactly the kind of bias you've shown here. Karen tries to interrupt, her voice shrill. This doesn't change anything. Your daughter's work is still. But Aisha cuts her off, her tone sharp now. My daughter's work is exemplary, and I have the data to prove it. She pulls out a tablet, swiping to a spreadsheet that compares Nia's grades to those of her classmates. The numbers don't lie. Nia's scores are consistently high, but her final grades are inexplicably low. This isn't about Nia's ability, Aisha says. This is about your prejudice. The principal's face is ashen now. He knows this is bad, really bad. Aisha's not just a mom. She's a legal powerhouse with the credentials to back it up. He stammers, Ms. Thompson. I assure you we'll investigate this thoroughly, but Aisha's not here for promises. She stands, her presence filling the room. You will, and you'll start by auditing Ms. Preston's grading practices. I've already sent a formal complaint to the school board, along with evidence of discriminatory patterns in her evaluations. You'll be hearing from them soon. Karen's smugness is gone, replaced by panic. She tries to backtrack, her voice shaking. I didn't mean I was just trying to help Nia. But Aisha's not buying it. She steps closer, her voice low and deliberate. You didn't help my daughter. You humiliated her. You humiliated me. And you did it because you thought you could get away with it. You thought I was nobody. But you were wrong. The room is buzzing now, teachers and staff whispering furiously. Aisha's not just exposing Karen, she's exposing the system that let this happen. The principal tries to regain control, but it's too late. Aisha's already shifting the power dynamic, and it's glorious to watch. She turns to Nia, who's been quietly watching from the corner, her eyes wide with pride. Nia, let's go, Aisha says softly. We've got work to do. As they walk out, Aisha's phone buzzes. She glances at it, a text from an unknown number, record secured. Board meeting scheduled. You've got this. She smiles, tucking the phone away. The camera zooms in on Karen, who's now slumped in her chair, her face a mix of shock and dread. The screen fades to black with a single line, justice is coming. You're pumped, right? Aisha's not just a mom, she's a force of nature. But what's next? How's Karen going to face the consequences? And what does Aisha have planned? The final part's going to blow your mind. Here we are, the final act. The stage is set. The truth is out, and Aisha Thompson is about to bring this story home. It's a week later, and the International Academy's boardroom is packed. Parents, teachers, and administrators fill the seats, their faces a mix of curiosity and unease. The air smells of polished wood and tension. Aisha stands at the front, her navy blazer replaced with a sharp, tailored suit that screams power. Nia's beside her, holding a folder, her eyes bright with confidence. Karen's there too, sitting in the back, her face pale, her hands fidgeting with a pen. The school board chair, a stern woman named Dr. Ellis, calls the meeting to order. We're here to address a formal complaint filed by Ms. Aisha Thompson regarding discriminatory practices in our institution. She says, her voice steady, but heavy with the weight of what's coming. Karen shifts in her seat, her eyes darting to the exit. But there's no escaping this. Aisha steps forward, her presence commanding the room. Thank you, Dr. Ellis, she begins, her voice clear and unwavering. I'm here not just as a mother, but as an advocate for justice. My daughter Nia was unfairly targeted by Ms. Preston, who used her position to demean and dismiss her based on assumptions about our background. She pauses, letting the words sink in. But this isn't just about Nia. It's about every student who's been judged, not by their work, but by the color of their skin or the assumptions about their family. She opens her folder, pulling out a thick stack of documents. I've compiled evidence grading records, student testimonials, and emails that show a clear pattern of bias in Ms. Preston's classroom. Nia's grades were systematically lowered, while students with similar or weaker work received higher marks. I've also included a report from an independent auditor confirming these discrepancies. She hands the documents to Dr. Ellis, who scans them, her expression growing grimmer by the second. The room is buzzing now, parents whispering, some nodding in agreement. Aisha continues, her voice rising with passion. This school prides itself on excellence, but excellence cannot exist without equity. Ms. Preston's actions didn't just harm my daughter, they undermined the integrity of this institution. And I'm here to ensure that changes. Karen tries to speak, her voice trembling. This is a witch hunt. I've done nothing wrong. But the room's not with her. Parents are shaking their heads, and even her colleagues look away. Dr. Ellis raises a hand, silencing her. Ms. Preston, you'll have your chance to respond. But the evidence is compelling. Aisha doesn't gloat. She doesn't need to. She turns to the board, her voice steady but forceful. I'm not here to destroy anyone. I'm here to demand accountability. I propose a full review of the school's grading policies, mandatory bias training for all staff, and a public apology to Nia and every student affected by these practices. And if those demands aren't met, I'm prepared to take this to court. The board chair nods, her face resolute. Ms. Thompson, we take this seriously. We'll be suspending Ms. Preston pending a full investigation, and we'll implement your recommendations immediately. Karen's face crumples, her hands covering her mouth. The room erupts in murmurs, but Aisha's not done. She turns to Nia, kneeling to meet her eyes. You did nothing wrong, baby. You're brilliant, and no one can take that away from you. The camera pans to the audience, where parents are clapping, some with tears in their eyes. Justice isn't just served, it's felt. Karen's escorted out, her head bowed, her career in tatters. Aisha and Nia walk out hand in hand, the sunlight hitting them like a halo. The screen fades to a voiceover, Aisha's voice warm but firm. Never judge someone by what you think you see. You don't know their story, their strength, or their fight. Let this be a wake-up call. Justice doesn't sleep, and neither do we. The video ends with a quote on the screen. The arc of the moral universe is long, but it bends toward justice. You're left with a sense of triumph, but also a challenge to look deeper, to question assumptions, to stand up. Aisha didn't just win for Nia. She won for all of us.